This segment continues our conversions, except this time we're using multi-digits, big numbers, or numbers with decimals down into smaller units. Again, we start off with our chart, making sure that we see what all the place values are and their names in the metric system, and we've color-coded them so we know that these are the little tiny ones that blow up to make this one piece here. And now we're going to move on to working with multi-digit numbers. So in this question we want to convert 32 grams into a certain number of centigrams. Now what we have to remember is we don't have 32 grams. If we have 32 grams, we have enough to break that down into 3 rods or 3 decas plus 2 single ones. So I'm just going to change that first. And so now I've just recorded that as 32, 3 tens plus 2 ones, or 3 decas plus 2 bases, meaning 32 grams. And we're going to do our same thing. We're going to try to find out how many centigrams we need to have. So we're going to fill that in with zeros and to find out what our answer is going to be. So we fill it in. We fill in our decis, and we put our answer into the centis. And now we know that we're in our decimal place goes into our centigrams. So now what's my answer? So 32 grams now becomes 3,200 centigrams. And that makes sense because there's 100 rods in a cube. And if we have 32 cubes, if we want to think of it that way, we would have 3,200 rods. Or we could say, we could break it down into how many decas, but we're talking about 32 grams. So we have 32 of these cubes, and it takes 100 rods to make one of these, so we're going to have 3,200 centigrams. So what would happen now if we were working with kilograms, and I had 32 kilograms? Well, I can't really put a 32 in here, just like I can't put 32 in my base. I actually have to have 2 in my kilograms, and the 3 is going to be in the place value just to the left of that. Now, just so that we don't confuse situations, I'm not going to give you the name for that, but it would be a rod full of cubes going upright. And so we would say we have 32 kilograms. How many grams would that be? Well, that's asking how many little cubes are in one of these. And we know there's 1,000 little cubes in one of those, so we should have 32,000. So let's take our zeros and fill it in, and we can see if that's what we get. So we fill in our hecto, and we fill in our deca, and we fill in our base unit of grams, and we take our gram unit, and now we know that we have 32,000 grams in 32 kilograms. We have a lot more because we have smaller units. We would expect to have more because it takes lots of little things to make a big thing. And we've had 1, 2, 3 changes of shapes. So our decimal places move from here 1, 2, 3 places to the right. So it doesn't matter if we're using whole numbers going from one direction to there, multiple digit whole numbers, it still works the same way. So now we're working with some decimals. So what would happen? What number is this? How do I know if it's 3.2 of these base units or 3.2 of the deci units, or how do I know? Well, this decimal place tells me that since it's here in the base units, this question is reading 3.2 or 3 2/10, or a 3 of the base units and 2 of these deci flats. So I have a little bit more than 3, but not as many 4 of these little cubes. So my question is, how many centi units would it take to make 3.2 of these base units? So I have my 3 and my 2 in my base units, and now I have to fill it into the centis. So now 3.2 grams is now going to become 320 centigrams.